Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the fruits. Okay, you see that in the picture below there is a different types and shapes of the fruits. So we're going to talk about all of these different types and to study them in more details to know some informations about them. First of all, let us to make a definition to the fruit. So what is a fruit? The fruit is a part of a plant that develops from the flower. So the fruits are developed from the flowers of the flowering plants. Okay? The fruit contains the seeds of the plant. It covers and protects the seeds. A fruit may have fleshy or dry tissue. As you know, there is a fleshy fruits and also there is a dry fruits. Okay, so in the picture you can see several types of fruits like grape, bananas, pineapple, strawberry, peach, cantaloupe, cucumber, apple, and so on. So they have different shapes and also they belong to different groups. We are going to study them. This is also an example or some examples of fleshy fruits like apple, peach, also cucumber, eggplant, and the pumpkin, lemon, pepper. All of these are fruits. I know you consider this group below as a vegetable like eggplant, cucumber, pumpkin, lemon, and the pepper. We use them as vegetables, right? But actually there are fruits because they develop from a flower of the plant and they contain a seed inside. They contain seeds inside. We use them as vegetables, but actually there are fruits because they are developed from the flowers of the flowering plants and they containing seeds, as you know, as you see in the picture. The pumpkin, for example, containing seeds, also the cucumber and the eggplant, lemon, and pepper also. So they are fruits. But what's the difference between the fruits and vegetables? The vegetables, we can say vegetable for any part, any edible part of the plant rather than the flower. It can be vegetable. What the mean of edible? Edible, it means like it can be eaten. Any part of the plant can be eaten. That means it edible part of the plant. It can be eaten or edible, so it's a vegetable. So it's like the stem, the root, the leaves, all of these parts are vegetable. Example for edible stems like potato. Example for edible root like the carrot. Okay. Sweet potato, it's tuberous roots. It's edible also, so it's a vegetable. They didn't or they do not containing seeds inside. The leaf of the plant, it's also a vegetable. As you know, there is a leafy vegetable called leafy vegetables, like Spanish. Also, it's a vegetable because it's a leaf. It's edible leaf. But the fruits, any something developed from the flower and containing a seed, it could be a fruit. Okay, so eggplant is fruit, cucumber is fruit, pumpkin is fruit, lemon and pepper also are fruits. Okay, and as you said, and as I said to you, there is a fleshy fruits like this. All of these are fleshy, and there is a dry fruits. Okay, so we said the fruits develop from the flower, so we can see some organs, how it developed to give rise a certain fruit. So the tomato also is fruit because it developed from a flower and it contains several seeds. Okay, so as you see, this is the flower before it being fruit. So this stalk called peduncle. Okay, and here the structures of the flower, this green leaves called sepal, and the other colored leaves of the flower called petals. Okay, and here inside the flower there is the reproductive organs or parts of the flower. There is the male reproductive part of the flower. It's called there consists of the stamen and the filament, and this part is the female reproductive part of the flower, which is consists of the stigma and the style and the ovary, which is containing the ovules inside. Okay, so after pollinization between the male reproductive and female reproductive part, so the ovules being fertilized, maybe one ovule, or in some cases many ovules or more than one ovule can be fertilized, and they give a root, a certain root. Here this is the peduncle and this is the sepal. You can see it after developing of the fruit. And this tomato, which is in origin it's an ovary of the fruit, but it developed to a fruit, to a tomato. And the seeds, all the ovules, fertilized ovules, developed into a seeds. Okay, so the fruits develop from a flower, and you can see some organs remaining after fruit had been developed. So what's the fruit structure? Here is we have two types of fruits. This fruit called peach, and this one is avocado. So we can study the structure or the main structure of the fruit. This stalk is pedicle, okay, and the pericarp, this layer called pericarp, okay, it consists of 3 layers. The exocarp, which is the outer layer or outer skin, called exocarp, okay, and the mesocarp, and this mesocarp can be fleshy or pulp, or it can be dry in the dry fruits. And also we have endocarp, and the endocarp contains the seed inside. Here in the avocado also we can see the exocarp and the mesocarp and the endocarp containing the seed. Okay, so because we're going to study the types of the fruits, we need to understand the parts of the flower before we going to study the fruits, okay, because it depends on the this part of the flower, because it gives the several shapes and types of the fruit. Because of that, we are going to study the parts of the flower before we study the fruits, okay. So the petals, called corolla, okay, these colorful petals of the flower, and the sepals, these the sepals, they are usually green, okay, and the peduncle, okay. So the important thing, or the important 2 things, is the reproductive parts of the male and female. The male parts consist of the anther, and it covered with pollen, and the filament. This is the male parts, reproductive. And the female parts consist of the pistil. This all called pistil or carpel. We will use this term several times, okay, or many times. We will use the carpel or pistil. So we are going to focus on this part. So this female reproductive parts consists of it's called pistil or carpel. It consists of stigma, which the pollination occur in this part, and this is the style and the ovary, and there is a ovule, and this is the egg, which is fertilized ovule. Okay, so this is the parts of the flower. So the classification of fruits. The fruits are classified into 3 kinds. This according to the how many pistils or flowers are developed into fruits. Okay, so according to that, the fruits is classified into simple fruits, like this picture. Simple fruit, when the fruit is developed from one pistil of the flower. One pistil of a flower okay, fertilized and developed into a fruit. So this fruit called simple fruit, okay. And when the fruit is developed from multiple pistils of the one flower, in some flowers there is multiple pistils. When these multiple pistils develop to give a fruit, this fruit will be aggregate. Multiple pistils of one single flower, okay, give aggregate fruit. And in another case, there is fruits are developed from several or multiple flowers. Multiple flowers confused together and develop to give rise a one fruit, like pineapple. So this one called multiple fruit, okay. You can see in this diagram for each one. The simple fruit, because the flower have a one pistil, and this pistil is developed after pollination, after pollination and fertilization. The pistil develop into a one fruit, and this is called a simple fruit. In another case, there is some flowers have many pistils, many ovaries, okay, and all of these ovaries, they fertilized and developed to a one fruit. So multiple pistils give a one fruit, but all of these multiple pistils for one flower. You can see this one flower, but it has a multiple pistils or multiple ovaries, okay. So this kind of flower is developed to aggregate fruit. But in another case, there is a type of flowers, it's called inflorescence, okay. This inflorescence, it's a group of small flowers, tiny flowers, okay, or we can say a cluster of flowers. It's called inflorescence, okay. These multiple flowers, or this cluster, or we can say this inflorescence, which is a group of multiple flowers, they all develop together to give one fruit. In this case, the fruit called a multiple fruit, like pineapple, okay. So the multiple fruit develop from several or multiple pistils of multiple flowers, but aggregate fruit developed from a multiple pistils but for one flower. Multiple pistils for one flower. And a simple fruit is developed from a one pistil for one flower. Okay, the simple fruits, as we said, it developed from a single ovary containing one or more carpels. Carpel is a pistil, okay. So the flower can have one or more carpels. So the simple fruit is developed from a single ovary, but this ovary can this flower can containing one or more carpels. These carpels give us the chambers in the flower. or in the fruit. For example, here in this peanut, we can see two champers, one champer and two champer. That means this flower have two carpels, right? So here also, here in the sunflower seed, you can see one champer. Chamber means room. Okay, so the carpel in the flower give us the champers. If the flower have one champer or one carpel, the fruit will be have one champer, like this. But if the flower have more than one carpel, so the fruit will be have more than one champer. Okay, the simple fruit is developed from a single ovary, just one ovary developed to a fruit containing one or more carpels. The fruit may be dry or fleshy, and in the picture you have you can see the dry fruit, like this sunflower seed. It's a dry fruit, and it contains the seed inside. And this also bean, it's a dry fruit. The peanut also, it's a dry fruit. Okay, so the fruit, the simple fruit, can be dry or fleshy according to the nature of the pericarp. The nature of the pericarp make the fruit fleshy or dry. If the pericarp is fleshy, so the fruit will be fleshy. If the pericarp is dry, so the fruit will be dry. Some dry fruits burst or open automatically to liberate the seeds in the maturity of fruits. Some dry fruits like beans, for example, it opens after the maturity of the fruit. The fruit is opened automatically and release the seeds to the environment. So this kind of fruit is called dehiscent fruit. Dehiscent. Okay. Others which do not dehiscent or do not open in the maturity of the fruit, they called indehiscent fruits. Indehiscent fruits, like this one. Okay, so if the fruit if the dry fruit is opened or dehiscent automatically in the maturity of the fruit and release or liberate the seeds to the nature, so to the environment, so the fruit called, or this type of fruits called dehiscent fruit. But if this fruit does not open or dehiscent automatically in the maturity of fruit, it called, and it keeps closed in the maturity of fruits, like this one, the sunflower seed, it's called indehiscent fruits. So the dry fruits are also classified as dehiscent and indehiscent fruits. Okay, these examples for the dehiscent fruits, they all are dry fruits. Okay, so we will study them in details. but I want to show you how they are opened automatically in the maturity of the fruit to release the seeds to the environment. And this one also, I think it's familiar to you. It's called a Thais plant and also milkweed. It opened automatically in the maturity of the plant to release the seeds. It's a dehiscent fruit. This also examples for fleshy fruits like orange. You can see the seeds inside. Okay, a dry fruit like pea and the seeds inside. Here we have a dry fruit. It's group 2, dehiscent fruits. And in dehiscent fruits, they do not open in the maturity of the plant. For example, the grain also is indehiscent fruit. Okay, the grain is a fruit and it keep the seed inside. Okay, there is also a fleshy fruits like tomato, cucumber. You see here a berry, pepper, drop. All of these are the names of the several types of the fleshy fruits we will study now. Okay. Here also a example for a fleshy fruits. Simple fleshy fruits. They are developed from a single ovary. Okay, and there are a fleshy because the nature of the pericarp. Okay, we're going to study the dry indehiscent fruits and the dry dehiscent fruits. Okay, the dry indehiscent fruit, which they do not open in the maturity of the fruit. They are usually one-seeded. The indehiscent fruits, they are usually one-seeded. That means they have one seed inside, okay? And the following are the types of the dry indehiscent fruits. One of them is akin. Is one-seeded fruit developed from a single carpel. And superior ovary. The superior ovary means the ovary is upper, okay? Here the seed coat separate from a pericarp. The seed coat in this case is separate from a pericarp. Example for this one is neem fruits, and also a cane fruit like the sunflower seed. It also a cane fruit because it's developed from a single carpel. It have a one chamber, okay, and one seed, and the seed coat is separate from a pericarp. For example, we have neem fruits and also the sunflower seed, okay. Number 2 is caryopsis or grain. It's just like an akin because it's from a single carpel, developed from a single carpel. That means it have one seed and one chamber. But the seed coat and pericarp are inseparably. Okay, they are united. They are confused together. They are not separated from each other. Example for that, like maize, wheat, fruits, and grain, fruits, corn. Okay, all of these are caryopsis or grain fruit. It's just like a cane, and but just the coat, the seed coat, and the pericarp are not separated from each other. Okay, they are united. Okay. Number 3, cypsela. Cypsela is one-seeded fruit from inferior ovary. Inferior ovary, it's down. The ovary is down. Okay, which contain 2 carpels. That means the fruit will have 2 chambers, right? And these fruits have a hair and hooks which help in dispersal. Example, dandelion and sunflower. Also, the family of sunflower, or some of the family of sunflower, produce this type of fruits called cypsela, have a hair or hooks which is help in dispersal. Okay, so cypsela is one-seeded fruit from inferior ovary which contain 2 carpels, and these fruits have a hair and hooks which will help in dispersal. Example, dandelion and sunflower. So here we have the pictures for this is a neem fruits which is belong to a cane fruits. Okay, it's from one carpel, developed from one carpel, and the seed coat and the pericarp are separated. I think most of you see this fruit, neem fruit. Here, this is the cypsela, example for cypsela. Okay, it's from 2 carpel, and it have a hair called pappus. Okay, this is a dandelion fruits or plant. And here we have a caryopsis or grain fruits like rice, corn, oat, wheat. All of these are caryopsis. They do not open in the maturity of the plant. I think here is something wrong. This word dehiscent should be indehiscent. Please focus on this. This fruits, grain fruits are indehiscent. They do not open in the maturity of the fruit. Please correct this word. Okay. And as I said, it like the akin, because they are developed from one carpel, but the seed coat and the pericarp are united together. Okay. Also, we're still on the indehiscent dry fruits. We have nut, is one-seeded fruit from a superior superior ovary, contains bipolycarpels with tough and woody pericarp. Okay, example for this nut is just chestnut and walnut. Also we have samara, is one-seeded fruit developed from one carpel and have outgrowth pair of wings, distinguished by this outgrowth pair of wings. The example of this is dodonium plant. Okay. Also we have schizocarp, and this schizocarp group of fruits, they develop from inferior ovary, which contains two carpels. After ripening or maturity of the fruit, the one-seeded is separated into two. The one-seeded is separated into two and remain attached to an axis. And these are three types: carcerals, like a botylon plant, and also we have cremocarp, like coriander plant, and also we have aregma, like castor. And all of these three groups belongs to a schizocarp. They distinguish by they are separate into two parts, but they remain attached to an axis. Okay. Here is a nut. Example for nut. They have a woody, tough pericarp. Okay, this is a walnut, and this is a chestnut. And this plant is an example for a samara. It have a pair of wings. This is a pair of wings which I talk about. These two pair of wings. Okay, this is samara group of fruits. All of these are indehiscent. They do not open in the maturity of the fruit. Okay. Here we have the schizocarp. As I said to you, it in the maturity of the fruit, the one seed, like this one, the one seed is separated to two parts, like this one, but they are still attached to an axis. You can see the axis in the middle. These two parts called mericarp. Okay, mericarp. Here, before the mature of the fruit, after maturity, this one seed separate to two mericarps, and they still attach to the axis. Okay, here also you can see, but the seeds are still inside. Okay, the seeds do not been released. They are still inside the mericarp, one seeded carpel. Any carpel of this have one seed inside. This is the schizocarp of cremocarp. And here this is a picture for coriander. It's another part of schizocarp. And this is a botylon. Here a closer picture to see the mericarps, and each one carpel have a seed inside. Also, another type of schizocarpic is the lomentum. This one also, the carpels containing each carpel contain one seed. Okay, this is the carpels, the rooms. And also the castor belongs to Erigma. It's a one kind of schizocarp also. As you see, before the maturity of the plant, they appear like one part, but in the maturity of the plant, or in the maturity of the fruit, they separate to a mericarp, but they remaining attached to each other by one axis. Okay, these are the schizocarp fruits, several types. This coriander, we use it in the cooking. Most of you can know it well. Now we are going to talk about the section 2 of the dry fruits, which is the dehiscent dry fruits. The dehiscent dry fruits, they crack open along two seams and shed their seeds into the environment when the fruit ripe or get maturity. Okay, so they opens automatically in the fruit ripe or the maturity of the fruit, and they shed the seeds into the environment. They call dry dehiscent fruit. The following, there is several types of the dry dehiscent fruits. Number 1, follicle. Follicle is a dry dehiscent fruit from a monocarpellary and splits from one side ventrally. Example for this is Thais plant. It's a dry dehiscent fruit from a monocarpellary and splits from one side ventrally. Example of this like Thais plant, or it known as milkweed plant. Okay. The second one is the ligum or pod. Ligum or pod is many-seeded, developed from monocarpellary, which dehisces at two sides ventrally and dorsally. Example for this, ligums. Many-seeded, it contains many-seeded, and also this follicle also contain many-seeded. But how they are developed from a monocarpal, but they have a many-seeded. The monocarpal means one ovary, developed from one ovary, but the ovary can contain several ovules, and these all ovules can give, after fertilization, many seeds of the fruits. Okay, so the follicle and the ligum have many seeded, but they are developed from a monocarpellary. Okay, and they dehisces. The ligum dehisces at two sides, ventrally and dorsally, as I will show you in the picture. Number 3 is siliqui. Siliqui fruits are developed from two carpels and dehisces from base to upward. The opening direction is from the base of the fruit to upwards. Example for this siliqui is a plant of brassica. Okay, it develops from two carpels and it dehisces or opens from base to upwards. Okay. Number 4 is capsule, developed from a polycarpillary pistil which dehisces in the top of fruit. The opening of the flower at the top of the fruit. Okay, and it developed from a polycarpillary. Example for this fruit capsule is a cotton fruit and the datura. Cotton fruit and datura plant. Now this pictures is for the capsule fruits. These datura plants. Okay, this is the fruit before the ripening or before the maturity, and after the maturity it dehisces at the top of the fruit. Also the cotton fruit, this is a fruit before the maturity, it closed completely, but in the maturity or in the ripening of the fruit it opens at the top of the fruit. Okay, here we have the example for the siliqui, a fruit which is opened from the base of the fruit to upwards, and it releases the seeds to the environment. Also we have a capsule as the cotton and datura, the siliqui. The ligum I will show you, it dehiscence into sides, as I will show you, ventrally and dorsally. Okay, and the follicle, it also dehiscent by one side, like the tides plant. Also I will show you. This is a silkula. It's another shape of silico, but it's short, more short and flattened, but it also dehisces from the base to upwards. Okay, so this is a tides plant, or it's known as a milkweed. It contains multiple seeds, but it's developed from one or monocarpillary pistil. As you see, it has a one chamber. Okay, but it have many seeds inside. It opens by one side. Okay, and release the seeds. Also here we have example for legumes. Okay, it opens in the two sides, as you know, and also it's developed from monocarpillary pistil. Example of legumes also like pea, beans and soybeans also are legumes fruits. Okay, Now we're going to talk about the fleshy fruits. We study the dry fruits, and we know the two types of dry fruits, dehiscent and indehiscent fruits. Okay, and we know the simple fruit can be a dry fruits and also can be a fleshy fruits. Now we are going to study the fleshy fruits. The fleshy fruits maybe contain fleshy or juicy parts. Fleshy or juicy parts. They are usually indehiscent fruits. The fleshy fruits are usually indehiscent. They do not open in the ripening of the fruit. Okay, so they usually indehiscent fruits are set free after decomposition of pulp and are classified into drop. Number one, drop fruit. This drop fruit is a fleshy fruit with one or more seeds from monocarpillary pistil or polycarpillary pistil. This is called syncarpus. The polycarpillary pistils called syncarpus. Okay, so the drop it's a fleshy fruit with one or more seeds. That means it can be contain one seed or more. Okay, and it develops from monocarpillary pistil or polycarpillary pistil, where the pericarp is differentiated. The pericarp in this fruit is differentiated into outer pericarp, which is called epicarp, and juicy or fleshy mesocarp, and stony endocarp. And this stony endocarp, which is distinguish the drop fruits. They always have a stony endocarp, and it containing the seed inside. A stony endocarp. Example for this drop is mango, and also the olive fruits, and also the peach, the cherry. All of these fruits have a stone endocarp. They are drop fruits. Okay, the pericarp differentiate into outer pericarp, juicy or fleshy mesocarp, and stony endocarp. Number two is berry. Berry fruits are fleshy fruit, usually many-seeded. The berry fruits are usually many-seeded, so they contain many seed inside. Okay, they develop from a single or polypistil. Single pistil or polypistil. As I said to you, if the fruit develop from a single pistil, you can see a one chamber in the fruit. But if the fruit develop from a polypistil, you can see many chambers inside the fruit. Like tomato, you can see a chambers, and also the pepper, you can see 4 chambers inside the fruit, or 4 rooms. Okay, so the berry are usually many-seeded from a single or polypistil, where skin is tough and entire is fleshy. Okay, example for this: tomato, grapes, and dates. Here we have a drop fruits. Examples: the mango and peach. Okay, they are distinguished with their stone endocarp. This is the stone endocarp, stony endocarp. It's too hard. And also in the mango, this is a stony endocarp. Okay, and also in the olive, you can Observe the stony endocarp, and inside this endocarp there is a seed. And the pericarp is differentiated into three: the exocarp with the outer, and the fleshy or juicy. Here it's a fleshy. The fleshy mesocarp and the stony endocarp. And also in the peach you can see the exocarp or in the skin, and the fleshy mesocarp and a stony endocarp containing a seed. Okay, this is the drop fruits. Here we have a berry fruit. As I said to you, a berry fruits usually they are many seeded. As you see there, a tomato contain many seeds inside. So the berry fruits, they usually many seeded. Okay, and it develop from one carpel or more than one carpel. In this situation you can see the carpels, these the rooms inside or the chambers. This is indicate for that this tomato is developed from more than one carpel, because there is a many chamber or rooms inside the fruit. Okay, and it has many seeds. The exocarp is tough, but the mesocarp is fleshy. Okay, it's almost fleshy. Okay, this is tomato as example for mesocarp. I said tomato as example for berry fruits. Sorry, for berry fruits. Okay, now we're going to talk about the third one. So the third type of fleshy fruits, it's a pepo. All of these fleshy fruits I talked about, they are a simple fruit. Okay, they all are simple fruits. So number 3 is pepo. Pepo is a fleshy fruit like a berry from Carpus pistil or Polycarpus pistil. Okay, pepo has usually a tough rind. The pepo distinguished by their a tough rind. All of the cucumber family are a pepo fruits. Cucumber family or Cucurbitaceae, the family of Cucurbitaceae, all of these are belong to pepo group, like cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon, and zucchini. All of these are pepo fruits. They are fleshy fruits and from polycarpillary pistil, but they distinguish by their tough rind. Okay, like watermelon, like pumpkin, like cucumber, zucchini, all the group of the family of Cucurbitaceae or the family of cucumber. They also have many seeds inside. Okay, they are like a berry, so they have many seeds inside. Number 4, pom. The pom fruit is a false fleshy fruit. Why it's false? Because it develops from not the ovary, just the ovary, but the another accessory parts in the flower. So it's called false fruit. Okay, so it's a false fleshy fruit from a Syncarpius pistil or a Polycarpus pistil, which developed from a swelling of receptacles it's developed from swelling of a receptacle. This receptacle is accessory part in the flower. Okay, so the apple is an example for a pom, and also beer, also an example for a pom fruits. Okay, it's a false fleshy fruit from Syncarpius pistil, which developed from swelling of receptacle. Also, we have a Hesperdium fruits. They are developed from a Syncarpius pistil or Polycarpius pistil, and is a berry fruit with a leathery rind. The rind, or the outer skin, is like the leather. Okay, the leather. So it has a leathery skin or leathery rind. Okay, and have a partitions between the sections and have juicy hairs. Example for this, a lemon and the orange are examples for Hesperdium fruits. Here you can see the leathery rind. The exocarp is leathery, and it have oil glands in the pits. And there is a sections or partitions between the sections. This is the partitions between the sections, and also it have a juicy hairs inside. Okay, so this is the carpel, and this is also the carpel. So it developed from a polycarpillary or a Syncarpius pistil, polycarpillary pistils. Okay, so each carpel is a section, and there is a partitions between the sections and juicy filled hairs, and there is a seeds, many seeds, as you know, inside the orange, and you can see the exocarp and the mesocarp. The exocarp is a leathery. Okay, so this is a pictures for Peepus family. Include zucchini. This is a zucchini. Also this, and cucumbers, watermelon. Okay, and the cantaloupes, they all belong to the people. Okay, it's a fleshy, but it had a thick rind. All of these people's family, they have a thick rind, and they have many seeds inside. But as you see, it's from monocarpus. Okay, monocarpal pistil. So it have a one jumper. The pom, the apple, an example for a pom fruits. It a false fruit because it developed from accessory tissues. So the swelling or developing of the ovary and accessory tissue of the flower, the ovary and the accessory tissue of the flower give rise a fruit of apple. And here the sepals you can see in the flower, in the apple, and this is the pedicle. Okay, So because it developed from an ovary and the accessory tissue, it's called a false fruit, a pome. Another example for pome fruits is a beer fruit. Now we are going to talk about the part 2 of the types of the fruits, which is aggregate fruits. All of these previous examples I gave you, they are belong to the simple fruit. Okay, all of these are developed from the single ovary. Okay, but now we are going to study the aggregate fruits. They are developed from several ovaries at the same flower and polycarpillary pistils. As you see in the picture, this is this one flower, okay, and this all in the middle are the pistils of the flower. Okay, so all these pistils should be pollinated, or must be pollinated or fertilized to give one fruit, which is strawberry. Okay, each individual pistil develops into a seed. This is the seeds arranged outside. Okay, so the aggregate fruits develop from several ovaries, but just they are from one flower. Okay, example for aggregate fruits: raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, and tropical fruits such as the custard apple, and all other members of the Annuaceae family. And all these Annuaceae family are belong to aggregate fruits. Here you can study the structure of the strawberry fruit, the pedicle and the sepal. They are remaining, and the achene. The achene is here in any seed in one chamber, because any seed comes from individual pistil, right? So it called achene also. And the receptacle, this is a cross section for the flower, for the strawberry. This is the bulb, or this is the mesocarp, and you can see the achene because the seed is inside the achene. This is the achene, and this is the closer picture. You can see the seed is inside the achene, this chamber. Okay, so the strawberry developed from several pistils for one flower. Also raspberry, blackberries, and custard apple are example also. This is a custard apple. It's aggregate fruit. And this, the red one, is a raspberry, and this is a blackberry. All of these are aggregate fruit. They are developed from several pistils for one flower, or several ovaries, developed from several ovaries for one flower. The multiple fruits, which is a third type of the fruits, which is developed from whole inflorescence and becoming a single fruit. You know, the inflorescence is a group of tiny flowers or small flowers of we can say a cluster of small flowers. It calls inflorescence. Okay, this group of inflorescence, they are all developed and becoming a single one fruit, give us a single one fruit, but they are a group of flowers. Okay, the types of these kind of fruit are sorosis and cyconus. Sorosis and cyconus. Both of them are multiple fruits, but they just different, or they are differentiate from each other because the type of the inflorescence of each one of them. The sorosis fruits is a multiple fruit from an inflorescence called spadix with fleshy axis. Example for sorosis is a pineapple. The pineapple and this fruit called jackfruit, and also a mulberry. This is not a blackberry, this is a mulberry. Okay, a blackberry is an example for aggregate fruit, but a mulberry is example for multiple fruit sorosis. These three types, or these three fruits, pineapple, jackfruit, and mulberry, they are developed from inflorescence called spadix, and they have a fleshy axis inside. Fleshy axis. Okay. Another type of multiple fruit is cyconus. It's a composite fruit or multiple fruit formed from a hollow, fleshy inflorescence stalk. A hollow, fleshy inflorescence stalk inside which tiny flowers develop. So inside the fruit, or inside the inflorescence stalk, there is a tiny flowers develop into one fruit. Example for this one is a fig. Okay, the female flowers, inside the female flowers produce small drops. These drops are small fruits containing a hard seed called drops. Okay, so the female flowers in the fig or in the cyconus fruits, the female flowers produce small drops. As I said, drops is a type of fruits containing a hard seed inside. So they are small or tiny drops because the flowers is already, or they are already tiny or small flowers inside. So the cyconus is a composite fruit formed from a hollow, fleshy inflorescence stalk, inside which tiny flowers develop. Inside this inflorescence, there's a tiny flowers develop, and they give drops, and which is developed, or this all inflorescence is developed for or developed to the fig fruit as example. Here in this picture you can see this is a spadix inflorescence. It's a group of flowers. Here inside there is a tiny flowers. Okay, they all together develop to give a one single fruit, pineapple. And also in jackfruit, if you can see very tiny flowers, they all called inflorescence. Okay, they all develop into a jackfruit. Here also in the situation of mulberry, this is inflorescence. Okay, it's a group of a very small flowers arranged together. Okay, this is closer picture for them. This is a very small flowers, they called inflorescence. Okay, together they called inflorescence. No, they didn't call it a flower, they called inflorescence. So each one have a single ovary, and they have each one have has a single reproductive organs or reproductive parts inside. They have ovary, they have pistil. Okay, for each one. So all of them, they develop together and they give a one single fruit. In this situation, it gives mulberry. Okay, mulberry. So the difference between blackberry and mulberry, blackberry is an example for aggregate fruit because it developed from a multiple ovaries, but for one flower have a multiple ovaries, they develop to one fruit, which is blackberry, for example. But the mulberry is an example for a multiple fruit because it developed from several flowers called inflorescence. These multiple flowers give a one single fruit, like mulberry, pineapple, and the jackfruit. And according to the shape of the inflorescence, they are differentiate into two types. So roses, because the inflorescence type of this group is spadix, like this one, and the pineapple, and for the jackfruit also the inflorescence type is spadix. Because of that, this type of multiple fruit called roses. Okay, and also we have a fig as example of multiple fruit. Also in this case, or in this situation, the inflorescence is inside, but this is a stalk of the inflorescence. Okay, and it's a hollow. Hollow means there is nothing, there is no axis inside or in the middle. It's a hollow like this. Okay, so the flower cluster, they arrange inside as you see, and there is female flowers. They produce a drop and seeds. Okay, and here also the achenes, fruits containing one seed, surrounded by a hard ovary wall. So the flowers, there is a female flowers and male flowers. Okay, they arrange together and they develop together to give this kind of fruit, as such as a fig. Here closer diagram for the parts of the small flower. Okay, you can see the ovary, the calyx, and the pedicle of each one of the female flowers inside this inflorescence. And there, after fertilization by the male flowers, they also arrange inside. After fertilization of these female flowers, they develop to give the multiple fruit. So it also develop from several flowers, but they are arranged inside. Okay, I think that's all about the topic for today, and if there's anyone have any question, you can ask me. Okay, I forget this slide. Here in this slide I want to show you the fleshy axis in the cirrhosis fruits. Like jackfruit, there is a fleshy axis, but the cyconus fruits, such as the fig, it's a hollow inside. Okay, but both of them are belongs to a multiple or composite fruit. Okay, now any question is acceptable. Bye bye.